you want to get obsessed with a random 2006 anime that the majority of people seem to hate?
That sounds like it would be a pain in the ass. Why would I want that?
Too late!
So, if there happen to be any Aki Dearest fans here, you might remember a video she did about this anime called HANOKA. It is a 2006 anime written, directed, and animated by Haruji Morino, and it is currently one of the worst rated anime on my anime list, being on the last page that still has ratings, sitting at a score of 3.34 out of 10. Just for comparison, that is below things like Maho Shoujo Naria Girls, aka your average VTuber meetup the anime, and Tenshi no Drop, the 5-minute short about lollies pissing candy. So I want to take some time to see if the show truly deserves to be this hated, or if it's really not that bad and y'all are just being mean. Part 1. A history lesson. Before I start this section, I do want to let everyone know that since English sources for this anime are kind of hard to come by, all the information for this video comes from a Google translated Wikipedia page and a single person on the HANOKA subreddit. Shout out to xKisuha, by the way. He always has a lot of useful information, and this video would probably be a lot shorter if it wasn't for him. So like I said before, HANOKA was written, directed, and animated by a single person, Haruji Morino. He's actually been making Flash animations since as early as 1998, and you can watch them on his YouTube channel. I swear to God, if I see anyone going to his channel just to be an asshole, I will steal your kneecaps. So when someone says that HANOKA looks like a Newgrounds animation, that's because it kind of is? Anyway, HANOKA, from what I can tell, was the first and only time he's ever made something for TV, not counting his animation work on Agretsugo. I'm talking like original stuff. Now, as you might have been able to tell by the fact that this guy pretty much wrote and animated the entire show by himself in the span of about 5 months, the production wasn't exactly the smoothest. I've been told that he was forced to change things about the original story, including changing one of the main characters from a war veteran into a teenager. This interference from the studio, combined with the lack of resources, is definitely a big reason for why the show turned out the way it did. Although he was actually able to add some extra scenes into the director's cut DVD release, which is the version I'm going to be looking at. Now, you definitely can't say that this anime was lazy or anything. If it was, he definitely wouldn't have bothered to change and add scenes to a DVD release 2 years after the anime aired. Oh my god, I want this thing on DVD, but it's so expensive. Part 2. The animation. I feel like I really need to address the animation before anything else, because 90% of the time, whenever I hear anyone talk about this anime, they just bitch about the animation, and that's that. So what do I think? It's really not that bad. Yeah, okay, sure, it is in no way comparable to most traditionally animated shows, even at the time, but for a Flash animation, I actually really like it. Now, of course, that's coming from someone who grew up on early 2000s Flash cartoons, so obviously it feels nostalgic to me, and that makes me kind of biased, but anyway. Another thing that people say is that the characters look like someone's first anime drawing, which, again, it doesn't look as good as traditional anime, but to act like this guy can't draw feels really disingenuous. You only have to look at his manga, or even some of his later animations to see that. I especially like Hoshi no Onion. The line art and colors definitely improved over time. Other than that, the backgrounds look alright. They're a little wonky or blurry sometimes, but it's nothing too bad. Now, that doesn't mean that I think the animation is without problems. The walk and run cycles look very goofy, and despite me saying that the characters don't look that bad, there is, of course... yeah, I will give the haters that one. Other than that, and this is more of a minor personal nitpick, but there are a few moments where there is an attempt at fan service, and it's just... I'm sorry, the animation is really not good enough to justify it, but that's also coming from someone who dislikes a lot of fan service anyway. Part 3. So what the fuck is the show actually about? HANOKA tells the story of a war between humans and star inhabitants. In order to make up for the massive power imbalance between them, humans create these things called majins, which are humans fused with star inhabitant souls. Don't ask me how, it is literally never explained, and that's gonna be a theme going forward. The story revolves around Majin number 7, aka HANOKA, and Yuri, who's pretty much a child soldier. Just don't worry about it, it's not that bad if you don't think too hard about it. Now, I could give you an entire plot synopsis, but aside from episode 12, every episode is like 4 to 5 minutes long, and that is including the OP, so I think you should have probably already watched it before even clicking on this review. The most basic explanation of the story is there's a war, they get sent to the enemy's headquarters, big anime battle ensues, they win and bring world peace. As you might be able to tell from that very brief summary, the plot is not exactly complicated, which makes sense considering the length of the episodes. One thing HANOKA focuses on a lot is that whole nature good, human bad thing that you sometimes see in kids' movies. Star inhabitants actually originally attacked humans because they were destroying the planet or whatever. Now, I could just write this off as some kind of cliche plot, and it sort of is, but I do find it interesting that this theme can be found across several of the creator's other works, such as Yukino and this other one that I can't pronounce. So it does seem to be a thing the creator is passionate about, and I don't want to just write him off as being cliche. Doesn't mean I think it was executed well. Yeah, like most of those stories, it can feel a little preachy. It's like Captain Planet personally breaks into my house and is like, maybe humans were the real virus. And then at the end, Hanako's just like, yeah, I know we've been at war for like 300 years, but like, we can start recycling or whatever, so we good now, right? And it's like, that's definitely not how war works. And then afterwards, this commander chick flies in and is like, haha, I've actually secretly been a Majin the entire time, and I'm gonna kill everyone because humans suck. And it's like, who the fuck invited her? I don't know, man. It just feels like a very childish way to solve things. Now, I will be the first to admit that the story and the characters do leave a lot to be desired, and I think that a lot of the problems stem from two main issues: the fact that the episodes are so short, and the aforementioned tampering of the studio with the original story. As I've said before, Yuri was originally supposed to be a war veteran, and by changing his age but still keeping the more mature aspects of his personality, he mostly just comes across as a massive edgelord. HANOKA herself isn't super interesting to talk about. She doesn't really get a whole lot of development. Well, development that isn't exclusively related to her relationship with Yuri anyway. Does not pass the Bechdel test. Speaking of that relationship, I think it's alright for the most part. Once again, because of the breakneck pace of the plot, it feels like they're going from complete strangers to basically a couple in a few days. And in the beginning, Yuri is kind of a dick to HANOKA, which might rub some people the wrong way. But a couple moments between them are kind of sweet, if you ignored the fact that she was basically given to him like a human weapon. Still less problematic than Naofumi and Raphtalia. The most potentially interesting character is definitely Kaori in my opinion. I think if she wasn't shoehorned in as a last-minute kill-everyone villain, I genuinely think she could have been an interesting character, if only for the fact that she, actually had some sort of personality. If Morino was given more time, he might have been able to flesh out the characters a little more. Honestly, I think if the show in general got more time, it could have been good, or at the very least, okay. By the way, I'm already planning to make a HANOKA manga where I try to fix some of these problems. You should totally join the subreddit for updates. The more I think about it, the more I think HANOKA can be compared to something like Sonic 06. I am going somewhere with this, I promise. Both of these had a lot of ambitious ideas, but time constraints and/or interference from higher-ups caused them to release unfinished, or at least that contributed to it. It seems that people like to ignore some of the things it does right in favor of what it does wrong. The anime has some interesting ideas, the opening absolutely slaps, and the voice acting is not bad. At least I think. I don't speak Japanese, so I'm not the best judge for that. People like to take both this anime and Sonic 06 and try to say that they are the worst ever, but guess what? At least the people who made these tried. And yeah, some things just didn't work out, But I'd much rather watch an anime that tried to do something grand that didn't fully work out than yet another boring, soulless isekai harem show. It's like the difference between Sonic 06 and Sonic Lost World. Cause I know which one of those I'd rather play. Sorry for all the Sonic stuff. I've been watching a lot of Sonic YouTube videos lately. So yeah, if you have some free time and you think HANOKA looks interesting, just give it a watch. Especially if you're a fan of old Flash animations, I really think you could get at least some enjoyment out of it. Please join the HANOKA fandom. There's only 21 of us in the subreddit, and me and X-Kizuha are pretty much the only active members. This is literally the deadest fandom I've ever been in. Please help.